It's the so-called Doomsday Cult Mom, Lori Vallow-Daybell. And we call her the so-called Doomsday Cult Mom for a reason, because of some of her beliefs. And there are several numbers associated with this case. 2 missing children, 3 dead adults, and 144,000. It may be that number that's the key to the whole case. Let's take a listen.
Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow's extreme beliefs about the end of the world, as described by friends, are now potentially part of the investigation into the deaths of Lori's ex-husband, Charles, Chad's wife, Tammy, Lori's brother, Alex, and Lori's missing children, Tylee and JJ.
We're gathering together as saints, as brothers and sisters, and preparing for the second coming of Christ. We want to be there together, and we want to be there strong together.
That's Lori Vallow on a podcast in November of 2018 discussing the end of times. 3 months later, this is what Lori's husband, Charles, said in divorce documents filed in Arizona. Lori informed Charles that she was a god assigned to carry out the work of the 144,000 at Christ's second coming in July 2020, and that if Charles got in her way of her mission, she would murder him. The 144,000 is a biblical reference from the book of Revelation.
So the book of Revelation has a chapter in which it talks about how when Jesus comes back to the earth, or in anticipation of that, then there will be 12,000 elders or members from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. And so when you do 12 times 12,000, that's how you get to 144,000.
Lori is not alone. Chad Daybell also believes he has special gifts.
I've recently released my autobiography entitled Living on the Edge of Heaven, where I tell more about my 2 near-death experiences.
That's Chad talking about his books on an end-of-days website called Preparing a People. The video has been removed. In his books, Daybell claims that near-death experiences, the first when he was a teenager diving off a cliff, have allowed him to have visions. Chad's friend, Julie Rowe, told Fox 13 in Salt Lake City about a very disturbing vision that Chad's wife, Tammy, was going to die.
And I did ask him, Chad, do you still see Tammy dying? And he said, yes, I do.
For Chad, that vision came true last year when Tammy unexpectedly died in her sleep. 11 days later, Chad married Lori Daybell. Now, police are asking questions about Tammy's death, and Chad could be a potential suspect. Chad's friend, Julie Rowe, who published books through Chad's company, also tells Fox 13 that Chad told her about one of his previous lives.
He told me he was James the Less, and I don't believe he was making it up. I believe he had the seeding spirits talking to him.
James the Less, or James the Just, was one of the 12 apostles.
Chad's been a very prolific author, so in the past, I would say a lot of his publications are very much in the mainstream, but it does seem that recently their trajectory seems to be taking them away from the kind of center where most people in the faith would have.
So, how is this all connected? Let's bring back in my partners in crime and justice. And Ted, where do you see the connection here now between what they believe and what investigators are looking at now?
Bottom line, Vinny, is they believe that in July of 2020, they are going to be one of the 144,000 people still standing, and the rest of us are gone. It is so demented, but at its core, it could provide motivation for committing murder or any other atrocity if you have that mindset. If you think the world's going to end in July and you and your buddy are the only ones going to be left with another 138, a couple hundred other thousand, then of course anything goes. That could be a huge part of this. And you talk to people that knew Lori Daybell, even Chad Daybell, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, they were not these people. They were different. Something snapped with both of them.
Julie, as I listen to this, and I don't know what's going to happen. No one's been charged with a murder in anywhere, but investigators are closing in. This is killing. Does it sound like killing in the name of God? Like they think they're doing something good here?
That is the craziest thing I've ever heard, Vinny. Yeah, they want to put themselves out there as these great religious leaders. I mean, she's saying at one point she's a god, I'm quoting. Quite frankly, that is absurd. You tell me a religion that says it's okay to harm other people, allegedly. Who knows? Bottom line, we've got 2 missing kids, 3 dead relatives, 2 of whom are spouses, ex-spouses, I should say. I think something Ted said really hits the nail on the head. I think it goes to intent, the mens rea. I think these investigators are going to look at this crazy conduct and try to draw that criminal intent from it in order to investigate the suspicious death of Charles Vallow and potentially charge Lori Vallow-Daybell and maybe Mr. Doomsday, Chad Daybell. I think 144,000 people still standing, more like 144,000 years in prison.
Yeah. Go, Julie. So, Vinny, I have to chime in because I find it so offensive when people invoke religion for evil rather than good. I know Julie agrees with me because she's a woman of faith as well. And this is so disturbing. I also am really curious, and I know Ted is on the case, about what in fact made them turn. Ted just mentioned they weren't like this a few months ago. So what happened? I think that is yet to be revealed.
A few years ago. Yeah, that's a great question. That's what their loved ones want to know. I talked to the grandparents of JJ this afternoon. That's one of their big questions. They loved Lori. They knew her. She was part of their family. They thought she was great. And then something snapped. Whether it was Daybell that brainwashed her or the 2 of them got together and just went overboard with this nonsense, who knows?
Ted, you mentioned that interview. Let's take a listen to a little bit of JJ's grandmother and grandfather who you spoke with today.
I don't like the fact that I can just sit here and think about things that I don't want to think about as far as the kids go. What could they have done to them? Tylee, I know that they're going to be looking for her in Yellowstone when the snow melts. And so, but they did not tell us that. So it's just.
They didn't tell us that about JJ.
But the fact that if she did something to Tylee, there's nothing that's going to stop her from doing something with JJ. Yeah. There's nothing. Even though he was a sweet little 7-year-old little boy who just got caught in a bad situation because his mother made some horrific choices. And just like Tylee was stuck in the middle because she loves her mother, but she was stuck in it, and Lori lied to her. It's just like she manipulated her. She manipulated everyone. Yeah. And so it just, if the kids, are gone, then okay, just tell us. Just let us know. Be done with it. And then maybe somebody will bail her out then. We heard there've been bail bondsmen over there that said, okay, we'll put up the bond, but you have to tell them where the kids are. And she wouldn't even do that.
That's an amazing revelation right there, Ted. The fact that a bail bondsman won't help them. I mean, the whole community just wants the answer. Where are these kids?
Yeah, we just learned that today. Apparently, several bail bondsmen, the companies said, hey, no problem. We'll bail you out. Where are the kids? You tell us where the kids are. We'll get you out right now. She said no. No, thank you. And she's sitting in jail.
Yeah. Julie, do you think there's anything that can get her to speak? Because I've been racking my brain, is there any strategy or approach, that's legal? I understand there's other things that you could do to make someone talk. But within the realms of the way our system works, whether it's deals or offers or whatever it is, anything to make her answer the question.
Oh my gosh, Vinny, that is such a great question. That is the $1 million question. What can we do? Who can put pressure on her? Bravo to those bail bondsmen for saying, sure, we'll help you if you take us to the kids. I don't know. That's a great question. It seems like no one can get through to her. Lori Vallow-Daybell said that she thought her kids were zombies, according to some of what we've seen in these court filings. I mean, it seems like she's like a zombie. She's the zombie. It's like you can't get rid of her. The behavior is so irrational, unreasonable, diabolical, if you ask me. I think maybe the only person might be Mr. Doomsday. And I would think we've got some great investigators on this. Feds are on this, local police are on this. I would hope they would be speaking with his counsel and saying, let's get him in here and see if he can do something to lean on her, and maybe the two of them can work something out in which these children could potentially be saved. That's all we can really pray for and hope for.
I have a possible idea. Okay, I have a possible idea. Okay, I'm just putting it out there. Can the jail bring in some kind of psychologist or psychiatrist to talk to her? And I always think about it this way. You know, in workplaces, sometimes when someone is troubled, human resources gets involved and they bring in a psychiatrist, psychologist. I'm being creative here. I'm just thinking there's got to be somebody who can penetrate through this possible brainwashing. And maybe she's just so turned off by law enforcement and her family that that's not going to work, or her lawyers. So maybe you just need some medical professional. I don't know. I would just try everything, right?
That's a great idea.
Some sort of
what about the
breakthrough.
leader of their church? I don't know if there's someone that heads up the services that they used to attend or something like that.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah, they were very active members in the LDS community before they went off the rails. They were part of the church, so maybe that would be a way in. I tell you, the grandparents of JJ both think that Chad's the way in because he's a father. And if they believe that if they can sit down with him, or someone can sit down with him and say, listen, dude, you're a dad. Think about these kids. Think about the pain that you're causing so many other people. Just let us know.
Let's take a listen to more of your interview, Ted, with JJ's grandfather.
I have never seen this in my lifetime. And look, I've been in business 45 years, and I can tell you right now, I've been lied to. And I don't know how she keeps up with it. I really don't.
She doesn't. You can't keep up with lies. You can't.
They're not buying her. When was the last time that they spoke with Lori Vallow? Do we know, Ted?
It was a text message after Charles was killed in what was originally a self-defense determination. Oh, that's another thing. They said the Chandler police from day one didn't believe it was self-defense. A PIO had put that out there that they ruled it a self-defense. That's hogwash. They say the Chandler Police Department has been on this since day one. Stay tuned. They are on to Lori Vallow there. They believe she was implicated. She was part of that. The last communication was a text message when Lori Vallow figured out that before Charles was killed, he had changed his life insurance and he'd taken her name off of it and put his sister Kay on it. So when she found that out, according to Kay, she screenshotted a photo from her telephone. When she came across the paperwork changing the name of the beneficiary, she snapped that and then wrote 5 kids, no money, gave it all to his sister. And that was the last that Kay has heard from Lori Vallow, despite the fact that they've been trying to get a hold of her and had been throughout the past, since the kids went missing.
Unbelievable. A lot more to talk about. We will continue to cover this story. Thanks so much, everyone.